Hi there everybody, Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So I thought what I'd do for the next bunch of videos is have a look at some instrumental albums. One where the vocalist has been given the day off or was never involved in the first place. So what I've done is I've decided to break it up into sort of hard rock and metal instrumental. What I have here, bit of jazz rock fusion perhaps. And yeah, I'll just see what else I can come up with to show you. So the first two albums I'm going to talk about actually have a bit of a connection. The connection being in the artist. The first guy that I'm going to chat about started out as a guitar teacher, and the second guy was one of his pupils. So the first one that I'm waffling on about is this album. Joe Satriani, Surfing with an Alien. When this came out, I think this was a big game changer for him, as well as for the sort of world of instrumental rock music. You know, it's a bit of a niche thing. I guess if you're not a musician, then it's quite hard to get into something like this. So it's got to be accessible, and this was definitely very accessible. Incredible playing on here. He had done a couple of albums prior to this, but this was definitely the one that set him on the road to stardom. And he's still going today. He's released numerous albums. Also plays in a band called Chickenfoot. He toured for a very short time with Deep Purple. But yeah, this is the one that did it for him. I just love that cover there with a silver surfer. Joe Satriani, Surfing with an Alien. And that's the back cover there. This has been released, re-released with I think it's got a DVD. There's a deluxe edition with bonus tracks, and I think it's a short DVD as well. I don't have that one. I used to have this on CD, but I've gone back to getting it on vinyl. It just sounds amazing on record, actually. So this came out, when was this? Is an import. This is a English pressing. Just want to get the date right. Yeah, it's got all the things that he gets sponsored by: Ebenezer Guitars, Damasio, Dario. 1987, there we go, in the 80s. And there he is with his Ebenezer, when Joe Satriani still had hair. He definitely doesn't have any more. He's quite bald these days. So, who's on here? John Cuneberti, Jeff Campitelli, Bongo Bob Smith, Jeff Krieger. I'm not too sure what all the instruments all these guys play here. Okay, it does tell you on the left-hand side here. So, Joe Satriani, guitar, bass, keyboards, percussion, and drum programming. I don't think there was actually a drummer on this album. It was all programmed. Jeff Campitelli, drums and percussion. Okay, so there was some drums. But I know there was a lot of drum machines used here as well. And that normally upsets me, but it actually sounds quite good on here. Jeff Campitelli, produced by Joe Satriani and John Cuneberti, who would go on to produce quite a few albums for him. Recorded and mixed at Alpha and Amiga Recording and Hines Street Studios in San Francisco. Mastered by Bernie Grunman. Cover concept by Jim Kozlowski. And right, Surfing with the Alien, side one. Amazing guitar work. Some of the guitar work on here is quite jaw-dropping. And when this came out in 87, I mean, around that time was also the Mike Varney, his stable, a lot of shredders going on. It was very popular in the late 80s, early 90s. This just had a bit more melody to it, and it felt different, sounded different anyway. Ice 9 is the next track, Crushing Day, and then a slightly more mellow tune, a really nice atmosphere to it called Always With Me, Always With You. And like I said, you know, instrumental albums, some people can take them or leave them. This one doesn't get boring. It's always got something interesting. The best track for me, though, is the last track on side one, Satch Boogie, with some great time changes. Guitar work is just off the charts. And yeah, for me, that's probably the strongest track on here, Satch Boogie. Side 2, Hill of the Skull, Circles, Lords of Karma, Midnight, and Echo. All very professionally done. Like I said, he was a guitar teacher in his spare time before he really made it. And you can hear this guy's got serious chops. And Satriani has a particular sound to his guitar. I don't know if it's because of the type of guitar he plays or the settings he has. I'm not a musician, so I don't know all the ins and outs. But when you hear him, you know straight away it's Joe Satriani right throughout his career. Some of his more later stuff has become a bit samey. But this one for me, if you want to get an introduction into Joe Satriani and his work, this one, Surfing with the Alien, that's just the back there. Not much else I can show you. So that's the first album. So I spoke about a connection with the two artists, Joe Satriani. Now, one of Joe Satriani's pupils in the early days was a guy by the name of Steve Vai. Yes, Steve Vai, who played for Whitesnake, played for David Lee Roth, started out as a protege of Frank Zappa. He was in Frank Zappa's band. I mean, how's that for an intro into the world of rock music? But from all accounts, it was pretty scary stuff as well. You know, Zappa was a hard taskmaster. Anyway, so he was a pupil of Joe Satriani, and I recently watched a video on YouTube with the two of them chatting about and how he came to his front door and he let him in and he showed him a few things. I mean, he already knew that he had some chops and he was a pretty good player, but Joe Satriani just showed him a few other things, and it was quite interesting to see the two guys having a chat, both seasoned musicians now, very successful in their own rights. I used to have more than this album of Steve Vai, but I found a lot of his stuff just goes right over my head, and it's a bit too out there for me. This one, though, was the one that really made it for him. I love the cover of this album. Passion and Warfare. You can look at this album for days, this cover, and you see all sorts of things going on here. Even in the flowers here, there's like little faces, all the little devils at the bottom here. The artwork on this is amazing. And the back, there's one of his guitars, one of his custom guitars, and there is his boots. So this was either before or during the time that he was with Whitesnake, because that's very much the look he had on stage with David Coverdale when he was in the band. He recorded one album with him, and then he moved on. And, you know, Coverdale had an endless revolving door of guitarists in his band, and Steve Vai just happened to be one of them. A really proficient player, great on stage, knew all the moves. Just want to see if there's anything else I can show you. So here we go. There's all the lyrics, and that's just the record inside. And there's Mr. Vai. Looks a little older these days, but there he is with his guitar. I don't think he's yet had that customizer under the handle. Maybe he did, I'm not too sure. And right, let's just tell you who's on here. A couple of well-known names. Produced and engineered by Steve Vai. I'm just trying. David Coverdale appears in here, so this was probably during his time with Whitesnake. Rudy Sarzo, the bassist Rudy Sarzo, he was also in Whitesnake. Adrian Vandenberg was in Whitesnake, so yeah, there's that connection. Just trying to see what else they have, what else they say. Thank you. He just thanks a whole bunch of people. So let's get to the tracks. Right. Side 1, Liberty. Chris Frazier on drums, Steve Vai on everything else. Guitar stuff is just, you know, as much as Satriani has his own sound, Steve Vai also does. But his stuff is like really out there. Some of the noises he gets out of the guitar are just amazing. Erotic Nightmares. That's got David Rosenthal on keyboards. I'm trying to think, he was also with a well-known band. Can't think of it straight away. The Animal, Stu Ham on bass, great bass player. I think Stu Ham also played on Satriani's albums. The Riddle, Answers, Ballerina, that's a beautiful track with some really strange guitar sounds. And For the Love of God, that was the big hit off this album. And I think that's the one where David Coverdale has a sort of a vocal thing. There's no actual singing on this album, but he does a little bit of a spoken word thing on it. So that's the end of side 1, For the Love of God. Then the audience is listening, that one where he's got the teacher supposed to be at school, and she says, Stevie, come up and show us how you can play. And he goes totally ballistic and she says, not so loud. He's on his way. He doesn't give a shit. Then there's one called I Would Love To, Blue Powder, Greasy Kid Stuff. That's another crazy track. All sorts of weird time changes and stuff. Alien Water Kiss, beautiful track. That's with an Eventide harmonizer. Now, like I said, I'm not a musician. I don't know all about these things, but some of the sounds they get on there are incredible. Sisters, and the last track, Love Secrets. Yeah, this one I can listen to. A lot of Vice stuff, like I said, is just a bit too out there for me, and I don't know, it's like he's on his own wavelength. He did release something more recently, which I also found to be quite accessible. But if you want to get an album which sort of encompasses what he's capable of, while still being, you know, not too far over the top of your head, Passion and Warfare. Probably his biggest selling album thus far. There's an earlier one called Flexible, which I know also did really well. But this one is the one to go for. So I would go with this one, and of course, the Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien. Actually quite similar in some ways, obviously him being taught by Joe. But yeah, both albums worth getting if you want to get some instrumental, hard rock, freaky guitar stuff. Those are the two to go for. There we go. That's the first two in my look at instrumental albums. Some of my favorite ones. I think next time around we'll look at some jazz rock fusion, just to change things up a bit. Maybe have a look at Return to Forever or perhaps some Old Miola. But that'll be next time. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't yet, down below, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Any comments? What are your favorite instrumental albums? What do you think of these two, if anything? If you haven't listened to them yet, maybe I've given you some ideas about what you can get into. So yeah, it'll be great to hear from you. Have yourselves a great week. We are well and truly into winter here. As you can see, I'm wearing the jackets and what have you. Hot cup of coffee, and we're good to go. I'll catch you guys soon. Take it easy. Bye-bye.